Well, hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie. If this is your first visit, my name is Peter Knowles and I live on this classic wooden motor cruiser here in Victoria, British Columbia, along with the loving memory of my pup Geordie, all the while fixing it up for some pretty ambitious cruising someday. If that's the sort of thing you might find interesting, please consider sticking around and subscribing. I'd love to have you. Then it's getting close to Christmas, and that kind of means some social obligations in the wheelhouse. I even have a tree I'll show you in a minute. Anyway, what that means is I don't really want to make a big mess in the wheelhouse and start carpentry this season. So that means I can jump into something that I am far behind on, and that's the electrical work. So I'm going to jump back on the electrical work. We're going to start with finishing up the panel, and it's something I've been dreading. Yes, a Christmas tree. I will never have a Christmas without a tree. Well, I hope not. Fortunately, I have enough room for it. Okay, let's jump right into what we're up to now, and it has a lot to do with these two pieces of beautiful aluminum. All right, so for those of you who've been watching for a while, you will remember that many months ago, I began the electrical system with this, the beginning of this panel. And I did get all the AC circuits in, and well, I've been living on 3 circuits ever since then, and I've been living on 1 DC circuit all this time. Anyway, so time to fix this up. Of course, this is not how the breakers are going to be. They're going to be mounted in a panel which fits on a door that opens up here. Again, anyone who saw as I put this together, I'd have already made the door. So let's jump right in at what the panel will look like, and here it is in AutoCAD. So this rectangle represents the door that will fit on to the panel, and on the right we see a full set of DC breakers and their tags. On the left, the set of AC breakers and their tags. Disregard the red lines for now. Below this will be the controller for the charge inverter, and across the top we have room for 4 digital volt and ammeters. Through the middle is all the main circuits, or main switches that'll look after things like, oh, I don't know, running blowers and fans and things like that. At the bottom are my levels gauges for fresh gray and black water. We'll talk about gray water sometime in the future. Okay, so all this red lines on here, if you saw me put together the helm, the easiest way I can think of to transfer these holes to a piece of metal to drill them is just to make a grid, print them on my printer, tape it to the piece of metal, and drill through the X's, or at least mark through the X's. Anyway, so let's get on with that. Okay, and here is that panel, or the door that I just showed you in the drawing, and it'll have the basic electrical panels mounted directly to it. Now, I'm not using standard pre-manufactured ones. I think you've already guessed. If you go to the great company Blue Sea, they can give you a pre-populated panel with all the breakers and lights and tags and things like that. There's a couple of reasons not to do that. One, of course, is price, because they're incredibly expensive. But also, I like to do things my way, and there's some things about those panels that don't make sense to me, and I may elaborate on that in the future. I also wanted to have something that I completely configured myself. So what I've done, I've just been out to the metal supply place and bought these 2 pieces of 1/8" aluminum, which we are going to convert to those panels. Now, the truth is, by the time I've done all this, drilled them, painted them, bought them, I probably haven't saved any money, but still I've achieved some of those other things I was looking at. In terms of paint, because it's aluminum, I need a primer, and zinc chromate used to be the benchmark standard for priming on aluminum. You can't get it anymore. So this is as close as you can get. It's a zinc phosphate yellow primer. Then I wanted that textured, like, electrical panel surface, so I have 2 options. One is a hammered finish. Oh, this isn't it. This is the black textured finish, which sort of feels much like, oh, I don't know if you can see it in this light, just a sort of a slightly stippled. And the other is a hammered look that we're all relatively familiar with if you've used that before. Neither of which is exactly what I was looking for, but I can't get too wound up about this. Let's get going with transferring the marks onto here and drilling. This day is going to be mostly drilling. And so I just lay that on over there. Use my beautiful new Start center punch, mark those out, drill. Should be a piece of cake, right? It requires perfect alignment. So this is quite thick. This is 1/8 inch. The reason I went for 1/8 inch is because that's the standard thickness for the breakers, the little hole that fits through. So it makes sense to stick with that same standard. Plus, I think it makes a nice, more sort of robust looking panel. There we go. So I'm just going to shoot just a touch of stickiness on there and we'll lay this out. That looks pretty good to me. Okay, many of you will be wondering why I'm using this old snap center punch when I have a beautiful new Start that was gifted to me, especially you very kind fellow who did gift it to me. Well, I've just been through every bin on the boat, and I'm talking about 2 hours worth of work to try and source it, and I cannot find it. This is just barely working for this, although it's true, the control isn't nearly as nice. I'd gotten quite accustomed to that beautiful Start. So I will find it, and it will go back into service soon. This is relatively miserable work, but if I just stick with it, we'll be good. Okay, as annoying as this thing is, I did manage to barely pull this off. Yeah. Now let's see if I can drill it. Okay. Now most of you will know I do have a drill press, but I just find it's not actually all that helpful for stuff like this. I only have to screw up one of these to ruin the whole panel, so it's a bit stressful. Okay. Oh, yeah. I think it's pretty good. Time will tell. I'll move up to the proper size drill. And carry on. All right, well, let's have a look-see. That one may be a hair off. Certainly fine by me. That one's also just a hair off. Big deal. They're both lights, actually, so that doesn't affect the installation. Not that I'm done. Okay, then. You don't really think I'm going to mark this one off and do this one the same way, do you? No, I'm simply going to use this one as a drilling guide. Because it's the exact same arrangement, just longer. So let's see what we got here, and I'll use the back side of it because if I put this side down I have to deal with all this swarf. I've forgotten the name of anything here. Okay, so I'm just going to line this up perfectly. Trust me, I'm not going to do all the drilling like this. I'm just going to put the 2 screws in first like this. I'll just get this lined up like that, and like that. There we go. Now I just need to do these ones. Okay, now this makes a good template. I think I'll actually put 2 more screws in just to be safe. Now, of course, by using this as a template, I'm perpetuating the errors in my previous drilling, but you know what? I am so content with the way this is set up. It's just fine. I'm aware there are all kinds of companies out there that make custom panels to fit the Blue Sea breakers, but I just like everything else, just wanted to do it myself. The other option, of course, was to have this CNC machine, to do a drawing, send it off to a CNC place, and I've even had offers to help me with that, and thank you for all of you who have. But again, I like to do things the hard way. Okay. Oh, yeah. Now, to finish the rest of this, I'll have to take this template and flip it over the other way. As a result, then I'll have to clean up all this swarf. So let's set up the counter sink to do that now. Okay. Now in a perfect world, I just flip this over, line up some of these, and we're perfect. And it looks pretty good. Okay, where am I picking up? Here. Okay. Now, of course, I'm nowhere close to being done. Okay, so obviously the mounting screw is on the outside. The tiny little LED will go in this hole, which marks whether or not the circuit is turned on again. And then the blue C breaker goes in these three holes. So two of them are to attach the mounting screws, and one must be vastly enlarged to 5/8 of an inch for the actual lever to stick through. Now, I have a couple of options. Step drill. It's a bit creepy because 5/8 is the third to last. That's my only option. I'm not putting a 5/8 drill bit on that. Step drill will do a nice job of winding this up. I just have to put something on here to keep me from accidentally going too far. A little bit of a chamfer there won't hurt too bad, but let's put some tape on it. This isn't exactly a stop, but with any luck, it'll remind me at least not to go any further. I do want to take advantage of that little bit of a chamfer. Now, chamfering. Let's talk about chamfers for a minute before we start with this. Okay. These breakers come with two sets of screws, two little black screws, and they're either a countersunk one or a round head one, or pan head actually probably. Now, if I'm feeling ambitious, I will countersink the screws for these because it'll be nice to have them nice and flush, although I don't really care that much because I kind of like to see the screw heads. It doesn't bother me at all. So I haven't decided yet whether or not I'll try to countersink these. Trying to countersink these very consistently without some sort of fancy countersink bit with a collar stop on it or something, which I don't have and I'm not going to get just for this. It seems a little risky. So let's see how well this goes. And if I haven't destroyed the panels yet, then we'll see what we're gonna do next. All right, here we go. Oh. Okay. This is the front of this panel. It's this row of holes. What can go wrong? Let's see. You know what I'm going to do so that I don't have to hold it? I'm going to screw it down again. That will help. Now you say, well, why not just get the drill press? Well, it is not nearby. I mean, in fact, it's about 18 inches from my feet, but it's not easy to get to and put back together because it's disassembled. All right. Actually, drilling into the wood at the same time is a huge advantage because it sort of slows down the progress. Not bad, actually, not bad. All right, that's it. Well, how bad can this possibly be going? Why am I tempted to just to see if that one actually, I don't know why I have to do this, but once there's one ready to go, I got to give it a try. Woohoo! Oh yeah, oh yeah. Try to put a couple of screws in. All right, so these are the pan head ones, which are a little bit longer. I love it. 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 What I didn't give myself is much room on the edge of the panel. I'm gonna have to trim. Ooh, woo, woo. Anyway, I knew that, but I didn't really. Anyway, I can do that. Okay, look at that. Come on. I'm okay with, I'm totally okay with these screws. I think it's what I'm gonna do. I like seeing the screws, no problem. That's not the right screwdriver. Okay, let's drill some more big holes. Now technically I could stack the two panels and drill them both together, but I don't think I'll push my luck quite that far. Don't let me be tempted to say this is going too easily. Did I just say it? Excellent. I have to say, this is going, well, it's going a lot better than I feared it might. Let's put it that way. Once more into the breach. God, are we in the right series of holes? Yes, yes we are. Okay. Goodness, goodness, goodness. This seems to have worked. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is really coming along. It's going a lot better than I thought it would. Anyway, that's cool. Corners. Okay, just a little bit of tidying up yet to do. I want to put little radiuses on the corners, tidy the edges just a little bit because these were shear cut and they won't look bad painted, but I think they should be tidied up just a bit. And then I'm going to have to scuff up the whole surface so that the paint, the primer, will key into the aluminum a little bit and have a better chance of staying on there forever. All right, isn't this the perfect beast for this? Let's see how this works. All right, the balance of that I can do with handwork. Love it. Okay, move on to 220. Okay, I think that will paint quite nicely once I get the dust off it. Here we go. Acetone wipe down. All right, well, I've actually read the instructions. We'll see if this stuff is any good. All right then, well, I am really pleased with the way this is going. I mean, until I get it all put together and painted black and all the stuff in it, I'm not sure how successful it will have been, but I can tell it's going better than it could have. That's all I need to know. Well then, good morning. We are having a pretty serious blow here this morning, which is rare for the Inner Harbor, especially because it's coming from off the land. But it's definitely quite a windy day. I hope the various awnings stay on. Okay, so I've had the primer drying overnight here in front of the heater, and it should be in pretty good shape to overcoat with the black texture paint today. Now, here, just let me get set up. Okay, I just brought the panels back up here to illustrate something. Some of you who are familiar with these Blue Sea breakers have probably been wincing the entire day yesterday. Of course, it was only a few minutes ago for you. These panels are set up that this is the top, and all the breakers are here with their illuminating light and their tags, which are yet to be determined how they. We'll talk about that later. The only problem is you'll notice the hole for the breaker is offset to one side. Ah, there's the coho. In this case, I've set them up to the left. Oh, well, that's perfectly fine. Except breakers turn on in that direction. They're intended to be mounted this way if you intend for to the right to be on and to the left be off, which is sort of normal. But I have to mount them this way because I put the holes in the wrong place so that to the left is on. Now, I'm pretty sure I've decided what I'm going to do instead is turn the whole panel upside down so that the labels will be on the left, the lights, and then the breaker itself, and to the right is still on. That's the solution I'm coming up with right now. I'm not rebuilding the panels. Well, good morning, folks. I'm just editing the episode you're now watching, and I realized there's way too much content to put into a single episode, but I don't want to wait another week either, so there'll be a bonus episode tomorrow, Sunday, to catch up on this particular project because I have lots to carry on with next week. Enjoy! Well, hello there, and welcome to the Travels with Geordie Beer of the Week. Yes, we're indoors because it's getting chilly. In fact, it's not that late, but we're approaching the shortest day of the year, so it's quite dark. Okay, the beer this week is, again, from Four turning into one of my favorite breweries, and it's their Mosaic Session IPA. And I'm really looking forward to this. I've never had it. It's amazing, the craft beer world. You can never, ever keep up with the amount of new beers that are coming out all the time. Anyway, we'll see what we think of this. Well, you know, this was actually a bit of a tough week for me because I had been dreading, did I say that already? Making up that panel, and I knew there was going to be a fair amount of work on it that, you know, just make one mistake and it's basically done. And it's not perfect, but it's better than I thought it was going to be. And, you know, that required a fair amount of patience to get that just like that. But again, so thrilled with it. Okay, Session IPA from Four. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's hoppy. Wow. Love it. Love it. Just the sort of thing I love. Okay, let's jump right in here. Not last week's, 2 weeks ago. Because of course I didn't get to an episode last week. Again, apologies. The winner of the t-shirt from 2 weeks ago was Andrew Nutt. Andrew, get a hold of me and we'll make sure you get your Travels with Geordie t-shirt. No new patrons lately, but a whole bunch of people supporting the show through PayPal. I'd like to thank Paul Beglane for ongoing support, also James Glass as well, Thomas Dietrich, Mark Haynes, and Susan Meldal. A few of these were actually a quite significant support, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Thank you ever so much. And that just takes us to the word of the week, and that word will be patience. It just came to me. It's like I really needed some patience to be able to get through some of the stress of putting this panel together this week, but it also has something to do, at least for me, with some of the stresses that are going on in the world these days. So let's all have patience. Cheers. See you next week.